In the study of pathological personality structures, we often focus on the noise, the arguments, the gaslighting, and the grandiosity. But the most revealing data is found in the absence of noise. Silence is not merely a lack of sound, it is a profound psychological intervention that strikes at the very foundation of the narcissistic identity. Carl Jung famously observed that man's task is to become conscious of the contents that press upward from the unconscious. For the individual with high narcissistic traits, this task is fundamentally rejected. They operate through a system of externalization, using others to stabilize an internal sense of self that is inherently fragmented and fragile. Today we analyze the shock of silence. We examine how the withdrawal of engagement forces a confrontation with the Jungian shadow and why, when the external world stops reflecting the illusion, the narcissist's internal structure begins to fracture. To understand why silence is so disruptive, we must first analyze the Jungian concept of the persona. The persona is the social mask we present to the world. In a healthy individual, the persona is a flexible interface between the internal self and society. However, in the narcissistic structure, the persona has completely eclipsed the true self. There is no internal core sustaining the ego. There is only the mask. Because the narcissist has no internal source of self-worth, they rely on a constant loop of external validation. They require others to act as social mirrors. When you react to them, whether through admiration, defense, or even desperate explanation, you are providing the data they need to prove their persona exists. When you move into absolute silence, you are effectively removing the mirror. You are withdrawing the feedback loop. In clinical terms, this is a catastrophic failure of ego regulation. Think of the narcissist as an entity that exists only through refraction. When you stop reflecting, they experience a form of psychic invisibility. By being silent, you are not just ignoring them. You are deconstructing the only reality they know. You are leaving them in a void where their persona has no audience, and therefore no existence. Jung taught that the shadow consists of all the qualities and traits that the ego finds unacceptable. For the narcissist, the shadow is an abyss of repressed shame and perceived inadequacy. To survive, the narcissist uses a defense mechanism called Projective Identification. They take their own shadow, their own cruelty, their own insecurity, and they project it onto you. They convince themselves that you are the source of the negativity they actually feel within themselves. Silence breaks this projection. When you refuse to engage, you are essentially refusing to be the screen for their shadow. Like a film projector with no wall to hit, the image is forced back into the lens. This creates what we call the reflected shock. Without your voice to fill the space and provide a distraction, the narcissist is forced into a quiet room with the parts of themselves they have spent a lifetime fleeing. This is why silence feels like a physical assault to them. It isn't quiet to them. It is the deafening sound of their own repressed self pressing upward. They are experiencing the shock of recognition, the terrifying glimpse of the void behind the mask. As the silence persists, the narcissist enters what behavioral psychology calls an extinction burst. Because their primary regulation tool, your reaction, has been removed, their system goes into an emergency reboot mode. They will escalate. They will try to force the mirror to work again. This phase is characterized by intense provocation. They will say the most hurtful things possible to get a spark of life out of you. When provocation fails, they may pivot to extreme love bombing or false humility. They are testing different frequencies to see which one will restore the feedback loop. If they cannot get a reflection from you, they will eventually seek secondary mirrors by painting a false narrative of you to others. This is the break. It is the moment where the narcissist's reality collapses because it lacks external support. Jung noted that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. The narcissist cannot do this. Therefore, when the silence becomes absolute, the false self begins to shatter under the weight of its own emptiness. This leads us to the concept of psychic death. For a personality built entirely on external perception, the loss of that perception is equivalent to non-existence. The panic you witness in a narcissist facing your silence is a primal fear of vanishing. But what does this mean for you, the observer? Silence is not a weapon you use to win a game. Silence is the act of exiting the game entirely. By holding the mirror of silence, you are waking up. You are exiting the narrative of the narcissist and returning to the objective reality of your own existence. As Jung wrote, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. In the vacuum of your silence, you reclaim your energy. You're no longer a resource to be consumed, but a sovereign entity. The narcissist may break against this silence, but you are made whole by it. You have transitioned from being a participant in their chaos to becoming a silent witness to their internal mechanics. This is the ultimate sovereignty. The analysis of Record 1 is complete. Remain centered, maintain the boundary, let the mirror do the work until the next cycle.